up, everybody? Welcome back to Pat's Picks Week 3. And before I get started, don't forget to like and subscribe. I got videos coming weekly, picking each game each week for the rest of the season. Also, last week's record, 6-10, not the best. 13-19 overall. But we did go 1-0 with our Lock of the Weeks last week. So we moved to 2-1 on Lock of the Weeks. Giving out 2 Lock of the Weeks this week. And a nice little 3-team parlay at the end of this video. So guys, don't stop watching. But let's get into week 3 with the Thursday night game. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cleveland Browns. Mitch Trubisky versus Jacoby Brissett. Of course, TJ Watt will be out for this game, but I'm still going with the Steelers plus 3.5. I think they get the job done. That defense still looked good last week, even though in a loss versus the Patriots. Give me the Steelers. Now, moving on to Sunday, the Baltimore Ravens travel to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. The Ravens are minus 2.5 coming off that really tough blown loss to the Miami Dolphins, which we saw Tua Tagovailoa throw 6 touchdown passes. Patriots coming off a victory against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I'm still going with the Ravens. I see them bouncing back after a tough loss last week. So give me the Ravens minus 2.5. Next up, one of the games of the week in the early slot, Miami Dolphins host the Buffalo Bills in an AFC East showdown. I'm excited for this one. The Buffalo Bills are minus 5.5. This line has been moving a lot. Started at 5.5, went to 6.5, back down to 5.5. Dolphins looked really explosive last week, really good. Tua throwing for 6 touchdowns, 450-plus yards. The Bills continue their dominance. Josh Allen threw for 4 touchdowns. Diggs catching 3 of them. I expect this game to be close. I went with the Dolphins the last 2 weeks. Covered both times. I'm going with them again, plus 5.5. I think this game stays close, and I hope it stays close. But give me the Dolphins plus 5.5. Next up, the New Orleans Saints take on the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. The 0-2 Panthers with Baker Mayfield looking to try to get their first win, and the Saints are looking to bounce back from a loss last week in Tampa Bay. This is actually my lock of the week. One of them, the Saints minus 3 lock of the week. I love the Saints here on the road. We move on to another game of the week. The 2-0 Kansas City Chiefs travel to Indianapolis to take on the 0-2 Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are plus 5.5 here at home. This one feels like a trap game to me. I don't know. I feel like the Colts will keep this one close, but I'm going to fall right into the trap, and I'm taking the Chiefs minus 5.5. Next up, NFC North battle. The Detroit Lions traveling to the Minnesota Vikings. Lions plus 5.5 coming off their first win of the season, while the Vikings coming off that brutal Monday night loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. This one was also a very tough decision for me. I was leaning Lions, but I'm going with the Vikings minus 5.5. I think Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson have a bounce-back game along with Dalvin Cook. So I'm going to go with the Vikings just because I think I trust them a little bit more. Next up, in NFC East battle, the Eagles travel to Washington to take on the Commanders. The Commanders a home dog at plus 6.5. Eagles looked really good last week in that win over the Vikings, while the Commanders went down to the Lions, and I really loved the Commanders last week. Let me down. This is tough. I think I'm going to take the Commanders this week, plus 6.5. Home dogs, getting that many points, divisional game. I think they keep it close. I don't think they win, but they keep it close and cover that 6.5. Next up, a battle of 2 0-2 teams. The Las Vegas Raiders travel to Tennessee to take on the Tennessee Titans. This one was tough. Titans got killed by Buffalo on that Monday night game and did not look good at all in any areas. Well, the Raiders blew that lead against the Cardinals. A great comeback for the Cardinals. And one of these teams got to go 0-3, and I think it's going to be the Titans. I'm taking the Raiders minus 1.5. Give me the Raiders. They move to 1-2. They get their season getting going, while the Titans fall back to 0-3 after this game. Next up, another tough game between two not the best teams. The Houston Texans traveling to Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears. The Bears minus 2.5 at home. And Justin Fields, he didn't look good last week. They didn't even give him a chance in that Green Bay loss. While the Texans, the Texans covered my lock of the week, but they also did not look that great against the Broncos. I'm going the Bears to bounce back with a victory here, minus 2.5. I think they're going to try to trust Justin Fields. I hope they try to trust Justin Fields a little bit more, and I think they get a win at home here. The 0-2 Bengals travel to MetLife to take on the 1-1 New York Jets. The Jets with a surprise comeback victory against the Browns last week, which saw Joe Flacco throw for 4 touchdowns. And the Bengals coming off that loss to Cooper Rush and the Cowboys. I really wanted to take the Jets here, but I just don't see the Bengals getting to 0-3. I see them bouncing back. I'm going with the Bengals minus 6. Next up, the Jags travel to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, who are minus 7 at home. This is the 4:05 game, so this is a late game, and I'm going with the Chargers to bounce back from that loss against Kansas City last week and get themselves back above 500. Another late game, the Atlanta Falcons travel to Seattle, where Seattle is a +1 home dog. And this one's tough. Drake London looks good. He looked good last week. And Seattle just did not look good at all against the 49ers. But I'm going to go with this one's actually really tough. I think I'm going to go with the Falcons because of Mariota, Pitts, and Drake London. I think they just have a little bit of a better team. But the Seahawks do have DK, although I do not trust Geno Smith, so give me the Falcons minus 1. Next up, the game of the week. In the late window, the Green Bay Packers travel to Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady. It will be Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady. Both these teams coming off divisional wins last week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are minus 1.5 at home. No Mike Evans. He is suspended for this game. Julio Jones doesn't look like he's going to play. Russell Gage is banged up as well as Leonard Fournette. Even with all those weapons gone, I'm still taking the Bucs and Tom Brady to get the win, minus 1.5. Give me the Bucs. The Rams will travel to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. The Cardinals are plus 3.5 at home. This one was a tough one. The Cardinals coming off a big win against the Raiders, while the Rams did get a win last week, almost blowing a 28-3 lead against the Falcons. This is a tough one with the spread, that half a point. I love always at 3.5. I love taking that half, so I'm going with the Cardinals plus 3.5 at home. Next up, the Sunday night game. The San Francisco 49ers travel to Denver to take on the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson sees a familiar foe in the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo, who starts with Trey Lance's season-ending injury last week. The Broncos are plus 1.5 at home. They have not looked good this year in the first 2 games at all. The Niners, I think they're a better team with Jimmy Garoppolo. And due to the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is actually starting, I'm taking the Niners minus 1.5. And the Monday night game, the Dallas Cowboys and Cooper Rush travel to the 2-0 New York Giants. And it's in New York. Giants minus 1. This is a tough one. I really was going to take the I really was going to take the Giants to move to 3-0, but I think Micah Parsons and that Cowboys defense will do just enough for Cooper Rush to get the win on the road at plus 1. Give me the Dallas Cowboys. And finally, the 3-team parlay, guys. The 3-team parlay for this week. Baltimore Ravens money line, New Orleans Saints money line, and the over 48.5 in the Los Angeles Rams Arizona Cardinals game. That is a plus 427 parlay. Lock it in. Have fun watching week 3. Hopefully, we get a better record this week. We'll be back for past picks week 4, starting with the Thursday night game, Cincinnati Bengals and the Miami Dolphins.